Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 90 of Shattered Image, and this one is titled, Everyone, Work. How does Hawks even know about him being with the CIA? Aizawa thought, his eyes burning as he stood there barely awake. Anyway, not my problem. I'm tired. I'll call Yinstad first to warn him about Hawks coming, and then I'm going home. And with that, he lumbered out of Hawks' office and headed for the elevator to catch some sleep before he needed to get back onto this mission. You were counting on him. A few moments later, Hawks dropped lightly down onto your front porch and casually strolled with hands in pockets the last few steps to your front door, and then pulled one hand out and knocked calmly, and then replaced it back in his pocket. His feathers picked up the vibrations of your father moving inside the house, and he smirked as he felt your father's heart rate spike a little, wondering who it was at the front door. Someone is here. He heard your father say. Oh, on the phone with someone? He thought as he waited patiently. Who is he talking to? Just then the door opened and your father gave Hawks a surprised look, phone in hand. He looked at the winged hero for a second before raising the phone to his ear again and speaking to whoever it was on the other end of the phone. Yes, he's here, he said. Good, I'll go now. Hawks heard the voice on the other end of the line say. Knowing there was only really one person who would know that he was at your father's place, he correctly guessed that it was Aizawa and grinned. My signature top speed, he said with a smile, pushing his hands deeper into his pockets. Good afternoon, Mr. Lin. I assume you already know why I'm here? He asked. Yes, Hero Eraserhead just rang now to let me know to expect you, your dad said, stepping back to let Hawks into the house. I don't know where this folder would be, but I assume it's in Yin's room, he added, watching as Hawks entered and looked around and then headed for the stairs. Her room is, upstairs, he said, following behind Hawks. Hawks walked up the stairs and then turned right and followed the hallway around and then stopped in front of a door on his left. Your dad cocked his head curiously. Is there any reason that you would know where my daughter's room would be? He asked curiously, when Hawks correctly found your room. Deductive reasoning, Hawks commented, not looking at your dad. How so? Your father asked. Hawks looked at him. Most bedrooms are upstairs, firstly. If there are bedrooms downstairs, it's usually for guests or grandparents or those unable to go upstairs, he said. Secondly, a teenager will close their door usually. He then gestured to the 3 doors that were open on the second level. Your and your wife's door is open, the bathroom door is open, and this here, he gestured to the door, is the 3rd bedroom and the door is closed. This must be her room. Well, you're correct, your dad said with amusement. That and the folder is still sitting on her bed, Hawk said, still looking at your dad. Now, how did you know that? Your dad asked, his eyebrows shooting up into his hairline. Feathers, Hawk said with a small chuckle. I know what a folder feels like, and there's a folder on a bed. I assume it's the one I'm after? We'll see, your dad said with an amused smirk. Excuse me, Hawk said as he reached for your door handle and twisted it, and then pushed the door open. There on the bed was a black folder, and Hawks grinned. Should have placed a bet on it, he said quietly, but your dad heard and chuckled with an amazed headshake. Well done, he said with a small chuckle. That is indeed the folder. Hawks walked over and then opened the first page and then started flicking through until he came to the page which had the photo and rap sheet of your last surviving auntie, and he nodded. He read it over and then he closed the folder. Did you need to take it with you? Your dad asked him. Nah, got it all in here now, Hawks said, tapping the side of his head. For everything else, I got my feathers. Indeed, your dad said as he smiled and followed Hawks back out of your room and then back down the stairs to the front door. Well, thank you, Hawks, your dad said. Good luck. Thank you, Hawks said with one more backwards glance over his shoulder before he took off into the air. It was now time for him to start his search. In a dark alley somewhere deep in town, a lady could be seen sitting with her back pressed against the cold brick wall of the building. Her hair matted and messy with random smears of food and God knows what else splattered through it, her eyes sunken and dull, and her skin drawn and sallow. While she sat there, she reflected on her life, random memories flashing through her mind as she took a metaphorical walk through memory lane, each one more horrific than the last. Stop, she panted with a grin, her hands shaking with sudden adrenaline. Stop it. You don't know what it's like to be me. It's amazing. It's torture. I want to kill. I want to murder. Smile for me, she mumbled, giggling manically between her spoken lines. While she panted and giggled and let her eyes roll in her head, random thoughts kept popping up, suggestions between her memories. Your time is always up, you know, her voice said to her. You've done it all. It's the end soon. You need to take yourself out now. But what about going out with a bang? Like a firework. You know those fireworks that have 2 colours in them? She smiled and nodded her head, listening to the voice within. 2 is better than 1, right? 2 coloured fireworks, 2. So, you need to take out someone else as well, right? A friend? You've always wanted a friend, right? But all your friends end up dying, right? It wasn't your fault you killed them. They deserved it. But what if you had a friend to take out with you, and you both died together? That would be the ultimate friend, right? She smiled again, allowing another little deranged giggle to escape her lips as she sat there thinking deeper on the subject. As her wild thoughts spiraled, she settled on an idea, but first she would have to wait until dark before setting her plan in motion. Fireworks were always best at night, right? As the sun slowly set, she started to move. It had been a little tricky dealing with Mr. Miyagi that day and afternoon, but he was being civil enough. You could tell he was just biding time until he could get the rest of this mission over and done with, and then he wouldn't have to deal with you again. But you were hoping that Aizawa would come through in time to save Hobie and somehow arrest Mr. Miyagi. If anything, he could be done for teen endangerment, right? Using Hobie for central intelligence matters. Surely that wasn't legal. You cleared your throat and pushed your hands deeper into your pockets, and then glanced out the window as the sun started to set. Okay, gear up. We're moving soon, Mr. Miyagi said to you and Sero as he got the men sorted. Yeah, you commented, slowly getting your gear on, but also stalling a little and waiting to hear the sound of Aizawa coming through to stop the mission. Come on, Razorhead. Surely you've got something planned by now. Sero watched you from the corner of his eye. You were acting a little bit strange. To everyone else you were just being quiet, but to him he was catching every little frustrated sigh, every glance at the door or window, every moment where you were scowling to yourself about something, and how you deliberately put the earpiece in your ear upside down, and then sideways, and then the correct way up, and he cocked his head. What is going on? Why is she deliberately stalling? He wondered, following your lead and moving slowly too. I don't know what's going on, but I do trust Jin, and I want to support her. He thought as he too suddenly couldn't work out how to put the earpiece in. You looked at him when he made a small frustrated noise. What's up? You asked him. How do I put this in? He asked. Does it go this way? He held up the piece and showed you the back end of it. You looked at it and then him. Surely he knows that's the wrong way, you thought. He stared at you with such intensity that you decided to roll with it. I don't know if he's doing this on purpose, but it definitely helps me to stall, you thought, as you took the piece and turned it over in your hand slowly. Yeah, not sure. You lied. Maybe like this, you offered, clearly putting it in the wrong way. Bend your head down a little, you said, getting your face closer to his. He turned his face to yours, just inches from you, and looked you in the eye, and then winked. Your heart rate spiked so quickly you almost passed out. And we'll have to end it there for this week. I'll see you next week for more Heard You Like Me and more Shattered Image. See you then.